me, it was like, okay, well, your due date's the 31st of October or the 1st of November, but you know, like the 1st of November is a holiday, so if it could like happen on the 31st, it would be fantastic.
This is such a French remark.
Parisians sort of, in a sense, come off as cold and maybe closed off, but they just need some warming up, in my experience.
Red or white wine?
Champagne.
Good answer, good answer.
Finally, after being here for 5 years, really not worried about showing up early. I either show up on time or 10 minutes late.
Life in France has taught me.
Life in France has taught me.
Sarah, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming today, for joining me with your baby. Well, if the audience hears a bit of noise in the background.
Yeah, thank you for having me and my baby.
That might be like a 6-month-old?
Yes,
yeah, that's good.
Yep. Almost 7 months.
But she looks super nice and surprisingly quiet for a baby.
Yeah, she's pretty well behaved.
Okay, well, so I suppose let's deep dive. I think you told me you're from Ohio.
Yes.
Which I'm mistaken for Oregon, which is definitely not.
Two totally opposite ends.
Yeah. Well, what was one of the most, some of the Midwest habit, food-wise, because we're in France, that you kept in France?
I would say casseroles. And one in particular is called Johnny Marzetti.
Okay.
It's a noodle with ground beef. It's a tomato sauce, and then it's got cheese on top. And it's just something that was started in Ohio, and it's a dish that anytime you have a sort of family dinner or a potluck or something, it's always there. Someone always makes it. And so that's something for me that's kind of a comfort food that I kept because my mom would make it all the time. Friday dinners or not really Sunday dinners. Sunday dinner was more for like chuck roast or something like that. But Johnny Marzetti was, if you were having a bad day, Mom would always have Johnny Marzetti ready.
Well, I should try that. I've never had that.
It's not too bad. I'll give you a recipe. Yeah, it's really easzy to make.
That's okay. And it's also because, I'm terrible with accents. Mm-hmm. And, I was asking you, would the audience be able to tell if you're from Ohio? And actually, you told me something that I didn't know about. It was very interesting. Is basically Ohio is kind of the equivalent in the US of the Queen's English for the Brits.
Yeah.
Like the neutral accent.
It is like our accent, especially from like the northern part of Ohio. I feel like our accent is pretty flat. And so like what I was saying earlier was a lot of newscasters or companies will send their presenters to Ohio to learn from the natives and how to speak with an accent that's pretty neutral.
So that's where we should send people to learn US English.
Yes, exactly, yeah, because you have American English and you have English.
That's, I've learned it, yes, because a lot of things like, pants and stuff like doesn't mean the same in British or American English.
Exactly, like jumper and...
vehicle parts.
Yeah.
Like the trunk, the boot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you've also been in France for a while. And by the way, for those watching, she speaks like fluent French, like almost no accent. I was incredibly surprised. But so you've also dealt with French admin and French healthcare. And
yes.
You've had a few, I'd say unexpectedly delightful.
Yes.
It's hard to say.
Yes, yeah. You did well.
Experience with French healthcare.
Yes.
You mind sharing that?
Yeah, so as you introduced, I had a daughter, so I was pregnant and it was my first child. So I dealt with being pregnant in France. And what was really cool was one of my really good friends at home was also pregnant at the same time.
In the US?
In the US, yeah. So we would kind of compare what I was going through and what she was going through.
Nice.
And for me, because I speak so fluidly, it was a lot easier. I could communicate. I felt comfortable communicating with my healthcare providers, and it was pleasantly surprising on how, for my story, how easy it was. I found a midwife right away that I really, really liked. who followed me almost all the way through my pregnancy. I ended up finding a hospital where I gave birth to my daughter, and it was really easy to, it was the first one that I stumbled upon, and so the team was wonderful. I've had friends who've told me, like, I went to 3 different maternities to find one that I really liked, and even then they were like, I wasn't so sure about it. But I feel like I got really lucky as far as doing this for the first time and sort of doing it blind in a sense where this is a whole new culture, a whole new system, a new challenge that I haven't done before. So I did a lot of research. I read up a lot about how this whole process looks and what's required of it, and how it kind of works itself out in the whole process.
Which makes sense. I mean, especially when that's the first one, this is a scary process, I would say, as well. So you want, I mean, every bit of comfort you can get and know, I mean, if you know what you're getting into, obviously it feels a lot less scary.
Yeah, so. And, everybody always told me, you're never ready. You think you're ready to have a kid, but most of the time it just happens. And so I'm someone who I like to be prepared for, especially big changes, and to not have that much control was kind of not really scary or frustrating, but just a little unnerving. And so my midwife was fantastic. She was kind of more like my therapist all at the same time.
Compared to your American friend?
Yeah, so she ended up seeing her OBGYN, and so her gynecologist through the process. And then eventually when she ended up having a planned C-section, just because she had some health issues. So for her it was, she knew exactly when it was going to happen. And me, it was like, okay, well, your due date's the 31st of October or the 1st of November, but like the 1st of November is a holiday, so if it could happen on the 31st, it would be fantastic.
This is such a French remark.
Yeah, and so it was funny because for the longest time, it was my due date was the 1st of November, which is a holiday. It's Toussaint.
Yes.
And then when I get to the hospital, they're like, oh no, we have to mark it on the 31st because we need to be ready as far as with the holiday and people taking time off and this, that, and the next thing. And so she ended up coming, a week early, which was perfect,
Oh yes.
So I was like, good job, you did fantastic.
Well, that's actually a very good introduction to lead into the most what the French at the moment. That could be one of them.
Yeah, I would say probably holidays. As far as when you're trying to meet deadlines or when things are happening, or the month of May is just
we're in May.
And we're in May, and it's almost the end, so thank goodness, because it was kind of a doozy. I had some things to submit this month that had due dates, and of course every single due date, the 1st of May, the 8th of May, and it was like, come on guys. I was like, these are holidays, can you not change them?
And yes, with the French specific word that we have created, I don't know how to translate that doesn't exist, but faire le pont, the gap, we bridge.
You do the bridge, we don't have anything similar in English.
Because there's not as many days off.
But I love the idea of faire le pont, especially when you have a holiday that's a Thursday or a Tuesday, because then you have Saturday, Sunday. If it's on a Tuesday, you take Monday off. You have a 4-day weekend, and it's fantastic. And everybody does it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
unless you're forced not to.
Unless you're forced not to. But everybody does it. And I was like, yes, I can get behind that. That is something that I can support, 500%.
You touch base in a way in some of your activities as well. So you have a network, La Sororité.
Mm-hmm.
What's the wildest, heartwarming, after-work connection or connections that you've made?
Yeah, honestly, probably every connection I've made. So I started the after-work 2 years ago as an after-work. So a sort of evening once a month for female expats to get together to just kind of not maybe commiserate with how life is here in France, but also support each other and find other people who are maybe on the same path that we're on. And I wasn't expecting it to really go anywhere, but each month it was a whole new group of women who were from all different walks of life, from all different countries, and for me to see that grow over time, that's been the most heartwarming
Oh, that's nice.
for me, of something that, okay, there's a need, because it can be, if you don't have a network here already or connections and you move here and you maybe don't speak the language very well, it can be so tough trying to fit in, to navigate, and
you can feel isolated.
And exactly, you can feel isolated. And yes, there's Facebook groups and there's all these different other opportunities, but I felt like there was something missing. And so I just wanted something that was genuine and kind of no frills.
Well, it goes into this stereotype about, French people and mostly Parisian who look colder or more cold, which is like works both ways actually, because from a French perspective, Americans look warmer, at least at first.
Yes.
And what has been your experience with that?
Completely true. I feel like Parisians sort of, in a sense, come off as cold and maybe closed off, but they just need some warming up, in my experience. Because once you get past kind of that first layer of, I don't know if it's grit, whatever you want to call it, because they've got their friend group from middle
Especially
school
forever.
for like literally forever. And so to kind of come in the middle of this and expect to have a sort of friendship right away is a little tough. So they just need a little buttering up, is what I would call it.
I really think it's, I think the main cultural difference is that, again, when I'm in the US, it's like everyone is my friend, like up front, everyone's super warm, super welcoming, and well, they probably pretend because, they don't know me, but it's fine because it is nice. Whereas, I think maybe the French don't do that effort. Like, they don't know you, they don't know you. They won't pretend they know you to be warm with you because, no, they're not your friend.
Yeah.
But indeed, if you go the extra mile and, warm them up, like you're saying, I think it's also maybe easier, faster to become friend, to break the ice.
Yes.
Because once you get past this upfront coldness, it gets actually much better. I think it's much easier. I mean, again, for me, when I was in the UK or in the US, it was quite difficult to make actually friends there. It's very easy to speak with people, but to make connections was difficult. Whereas here, it's a bit harder up front.
Yes.
But I think it's easier than to make connections. Well, again, if
you have to break that first barrier, that first wall. And even I find when I moved here and I was trying to make connections, even with non-French people, it was kind of the same thing too.
They're contaminated.
Yeah, I don't know. You get to a certain point in life. I'm 40 years old, and you have made this decision to basically upend your entire life that you've been, either building back home to start a new chapter somewhere, and it can be a bit difficult. And so I in the beginning, I always said I was going out on friend dates. And sometimes
I like it.
That's what it felt like. It felt like a first date of trying to figure out, okay, am I going to click with this person? Is this person, are we going to kind of meet on the same level? Do we have, yes, we've exchanged, and it was, over Instagram or social media, we've exchanged some messages, we've decided, okay, let's meet for a coffee or a glass of wine. And it was...
Sounds so French.
It was, yeah. I mean, I've been to or meet on a terrace for a spritz or something, you have to.
Oh, yes.
So, but it's, you're right. You have to break past that first wall and then...
If you're invited for the apéro, that's it, you're in.
You're in, you're good. Just bring, I don't know, I'd bring a bottle of wine or something, or maybe some flowers or whatnot. In my case, I would bring a cake. Since I do pastries, I would bring a cake, and usually cake goes over. What everybody loves a good cake.
It's definitely a wall breaker.
Yeah, it is. That's for sure.
More generally, do you have some myth about Paris that you'd like to debunk, maybe, that American may have, or when they think about Paris?
Honestly, it was probably about the French people are so cold. That's one thing that, people have talked to me a lot about is, how do I get to,
A rude, maybe, also?
Yeah, cold, rude, because it can come off, even though, like you said, they're very kind of closed off, and they're not as a Midwesterner, our thing is hospitality.
Oh.
Like you said, you felt like everybody's best friend, and I feel like I'm that way most of the time, and I have to kind of remind myself that I may be coming off as a little too rambunctious or whatnot, but
the language is a massive part of that as well, because, well, the way the English language is structured, I mean, again, I'm talking about how I feel, but I remember the first years when I was, again, traveling abroad in English-speaking countries and living in the UK, for example, or sometime in the US, people seemed very upfront to me, actually, and quite forward from my French perspective. And I like, because in France, well, in French, I think we beat around the bush quite a lot with the words, whereas like you get to the point which for us looks rude, which is not, it's cultural, but and I think also it's maybe why sometimes it may come across from one culture to the next that, you know, as rude or forward, because it's the way the language is structured as well.
Yes.
May not have something to do directly with the culture, although, well, indirectly, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, no, it could be. I feel like, you know, there are some Americans that are very direct, and they just kind of say, whatever, they just go for it. And you know, like you said, beating around the bush, I feel like maybe not a lot of French do, but in some certain cases, it happens.
We had a lot of decorative words in a way.
Yes,
words.
It's like, frilly, fancy. It's like just sometimes, you know, get to the point.
Yeah, and I think it's also why it's so difficult to speak French properly, because in a way you have to add words to use. I remember my British partner in the UK was like constantly saying English simple, but making the sign in English simple, like shorten your sentences.
Yes.
You're using too many words.
Yes. And I think also, too, the context of what you're trying to get across depends on, like, the type of words that you use or how you're conveying the message. That's a conversation I have a lot with my husband, and it goes both ways in French and English. You know, the context of I'm trying to explain something, like, what was it? We were talking about something, it was about the Olympics, and I had said something about, what was it? It was a word, and the word could be used in multiple different ways.
Was not excited.
No, it was not excited. No.
Because this.
No. And so that is.
But the context, yes.
But the context, and so and with his job too, he uses English, and so like we get in discussions of, okay, so I want to say this. How do I say this? But I need to get this point across. Context, I find, is huge.
Oh, it's paramount importance. Yes. You also have actually a podcast which leads into that, Only in France.
Yes.
So any Only in France podcast story?
So I would say probably to go along the lines of like context and having like the frills is with French administration. I always tell people you have to read, like if you get your checklist, let's say you're getting your dossier together to renew your visa or your carte de séjour. You get your list of all of the paperwork that you need, and I always tell everybody you have to read through the lines, because you could get up to the window of your appointment, and the person in front of you could be like, oh, well, do you have, I don't know, your last 6 tax declarations? And it's not on the list, but you know, it's something that you kind of have to prepare for. And I feel like it's only in France would that happen. So I got used to lugging my giant file folder of like 6 years worth of papers with me to every appointment, just in case they asked for something.
And that's why, I mean, even the native, I mean, we're scared of French admin, because we're like, there's a list, but maybe they'll ask for things that are not on the list. But apparently, I was like, it's obvious you need to bring that.
Yes, exactly. Right. It's like when I was getting the passports for my daughter, I was really worried about the French passport. And that was a breeze. I was like, is this a fluke? Good. I was like, did I hit the jackpot?
Is this a joke?
And it was actually the American passport that I had the most trouble with. And I was like, well, maybe
we did good.
Yeah, you did very good. I was like, maybe the embassy is, you know, taking on some of its partners, you know, habits of.
They shouldn't.
No.
Well, speaking of bureaucracy, do you have some like top tips to survive French bureaucracy?
Keep a paper trail of everything.
And we love the physical copies.
Yeah, physical copies are fantastic. And have a digital copy of everything. I've actually had at an appointment where I've needed a copy of something, and I didn't have. I thought I had the physical copy, but I didn't. But I somehow had the digital copy, so I could just print it out, which was fantastic. And patience.
Oh yes.
Patience is
in a way, but it indirectly it goes with the lifestyle, the French lifestyle.
Yes.
Because it's much slower.
Yes.
Than it is in the US. I mean, if you compare to that. But obviously, then the problem. I mean, one of the downside might be that everyone runs slower.
Yes. Yeah.
And therefore, things can be processed slower as well.
Yes. I think kind of as an American, like our culture is so quick and so efficiency. But sometimes it's efficient, sometimes it's not.
No, but it's supposed to be towards.
But yeah, it's like this quick, fast-paced. I can get it right now, right here, like no waiting time. And to come from that to this.
This is
culture.
The apéro time.
Yeah, this
there
is the
a
apéro time.
Holiday.
Yeah, I've finally, after being here for 5 years, really not worried about showing up early. I either show up on time or 10 minutes late. And for me, that was like a huge like culture breaking moment for me, because it was, I'm always 10 minutes early, always, no matter what I'm doing or where I'm going. Just because like my parents, were like, okay, you need to be early. It's proper, it's polite, it's respectful.
Well, let's say that I think, everyone likes people to be on time.
Yes.
But there is a bit of tolerance, let's say, built in France.
It's France. Especially, like now with my daughter, I go everywhere in a stroller. And so we take the bus. Like I didn't even bother with the metro because it's just a pain in the butt with the stroller. But the bus has taught me a lot of grace as far as, okay, like I get the bus, like it says it's supposed to be here at this time, but I was like, there's traffic, who knows what's going on? Maybe there's like a car, turned over somewhere, or there's a bike in the middle of the road, or
the scenery's
but the scenery
as well
is gorgeous. Yeah, it is. It's a great way to see the city.
And did you or do you? What's the next? Because you have a blog, you have a podcast. Mm-hmm. What's the next taboo topic that you're gonna speak of or mention on your blog or podcast? Because you kind of debunk a lot of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would call it taboo, but one thing I've noticed is public transportation and tickets. That seems to be, especially with a lot of tourists that come in, especially American tourists, the ticket system here is kind of, and since they just changed everything now, it's like you have like the bus and the tram ticket and the metro and the RER ticket, and they're two different prices. And if you do the bus, but you're on the metro, like you have to, I'm even a little confused.
Because it was too simple.
Yeah, I know, it was too simple. And so just kind of debunking that and explaining in sort of simpler terms, because it's what I like to do, how it works. And even too, like with the paper tickets, that seems to be, I've even gotten in trouble with because I had
really?
I've had to use a paper ticket a couple times, and I've even gotten in trouble when I thought I did everything right. Was I put it through the little turnstile, it popped up, it clicked, it let me through, but it didn't stamp the ticket.
Oh.
And so because it didn't stamp the ticket, it wasn't validated, and I was like, you guys, come on, I
never happened to me, so I wasn't even aware it could happen.
Yeah. So things like that, it's kind of taking.
Once I remember doing that, but just getting the ticket. That was first time in Paris. Just throw the tickets. Like, okay, I'm in now.
Yeah, well, that too, and people don't realize. I think that's probably why they're moving away. One of the reasons why they're moving away from cardboard, and it's probably really expensive to print everything.
As well, not very eco-friendly as well.
Yeah, well, not eco-friendly as well. And so, as a lot of people don't realize, because it's not really displayed anywhere that you need to keep your ticket through the whole time that you're here. Indirectly,
it makes sense because, yes, this is the proof that you bought it, but it's not. You're through the gate.
You're through the gate, so I don't need it again. But someone like me, who I'm from a small farm town in the middle of bum country, Ohio. I've never taken, the first time I rode public transportation was here in Paris, and so I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. What's going on? There's so many things happening. It was kind of nerve-wracking, and so kind of talking about that and kind of breaking it down and explaining it, because even looking on the website, sometimes it's trying to understand if you're trying to prepare for a trip or something, it's not very well explained.
No,
so,
often is. How many times I'm looking at official websites and either you have to read through the lines.
Yes, well, there's that too.
Or you have to okay, well, I'll go onto another non-official website, but maybe you explain this better because it's it's all there usually, but sometimes explained in a confusing way.
Yeah, well, and that's why I started my blog, was because I was going through the process of marrying a Frenchman in the United States, and I ended up all of the information that I needed. It would have been so simple if it was just like on one website, but there was like 5 different websites. It was like
that wouldn't be French.
The French government, the French consulate in the United States, the embassy's website, and so just kind of picking all of this information and then putting it in one place. It's like, it's a novel idea, but somebody obviously didn't think of it.
Let's put it this way. I mean, they like you to be busy.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They don't want you to be bored.
It's never boring. There's always something.
And it has to be an administrative adventure.
Exactly. It's always an adventure. I'm glad for the most part my administrative adventures are over. I can retire.
And the good thing is usually, I mean, they see the process through, though. I mean, if you start something, they'll explain. They're usually very friendly and very serviceable, I would say. But
sometimes you have to get, like, I feel like this is where my Americanness comes out, and I have to kind of get, like I emailed my mutual because I'm no longer working, and so I found out that with my mutual through my job, I get something called portabilité. So my mutual, I still get coverage. And I emailed all of the documents that they requested 2 weeks ago. And they're like, yeah, we'll get back to you like in 4 or 5 days. And I'm like, well, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so now, my goal tomorrow is, okay, I'm making a phone call. And we'll see, it's like, hey, I'm here. I sent those papers in. Have you?
I mean, things will be done.
Yes.
Eventually. The problem is, okay, what eventually, how long is it going to be?
Yeah, how long is that going to take? Is it going to be 2 days, 6 weeks,
Is it like
5
2 days
months?
eventually, 2 weeks?
Exactly.
It's funny because this is also something when people, like typically French, they say, okay, it's going to be processed, or, that kind of answer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I say quite often as, are we talking days, weeks, months?
That's
the kind of question. Because
exactly.
Just to have an idea of the time frame.
Exactly, because you don't want to be there sitting waiting and thinking, okay, I should have this right now.
If it's going to be weeks, okay, I'm not going to be unrested.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be months or if it's going to be days and it's been weeks, it's like, okay, I should chase back for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, well, I have a puzzle for you.
Okay.
Okay. Finish the sentence.
Okay. Oh, goodness.
Life in France has taught me.
Life in France has taught me.
I don't say patience.
Okay.
With administration.
Yeah. No, life in France has taught me to slow down.
Good.
Yes. To slow down, to appreciate, to.
Are you having those 1 hour or maybe plus lunch break? Or breaks? Now.
Well, now yes, since I'm not working, but I'm taking more. I'm being more intentional to not feel so rushed when it's lunch or dinner. It's just, or if I'm out doing something, I just take my time.
Take away coffee. Do you sip it while working? Or do you still need or do you do, like the French way, do you need to see it too?
I think it depends. I think it really depends. With a 7-month-old at home, I definitely take my coffee to go more often than not. But before, I really enjoyed sitting on a terrace.
Okay.
Sipping a cup of coffee.
So
what I would do, because where I worked, I was at Sentier
nice.
And so on Rue Montorgueil, there's a bistro that I love, and now that I don't live there anymore and I don't work there anymore, I miss it. And their terrace was like perfectly placed because it was like you had the metro exit, and then you could watch all the way down Rue Montorgueil. And so I would purposely show up 45 minutes before my shift and go there and have a coffee and just sometimes I'd have breakfast, like a little croissant or something. And I would just enjoy it, and I would literally just people watch. And sometimes I'd read or just
it's very French.
Chill. Yeah, just chill.
Okay, well, before we call it a wrap, I have this, I like this.
Okay.
Quick lightning round.
Oh gosh,
okay?
I'm horrible
So we
at
need
these.
to be fast.
Okay, I'm horrible at these.
Your favorite time of the year in Paris?
Autumn.
Okay. Most overrated tourist spot?
Okay, people are going to hate me. Montmartre.
Wow.
But I love it, but there's...
Americans are going to hate you.
Yeah, but
Okay. Well, your favorite spot in Paris then?
So it's either the Parc Bagatelle
Okay.
or the Musée Jacques-Marandré.
Original.
Yes,
Wow.
is one of my absolute favorites.
Good. Do you have a preferred French word or phrase? Could be a phrase.
Probably a phrase. It's yeah, you can laugh. Il pleut comme une vache qui pisse. There's
Okay.
just something about it that
Well, it's a French equivalent of "It's raining cats and dogs"
It's
for the
raining
Brits.
cats and
Okay,
dogs.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can go with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you rather café au lait or espresso?
Espresso,
Okay. Red or white wine?
champagne.
Good answer. Good answer. I'm on that team
Yes,
as well.
champagne.
Well, high heels or sneakers?
It depends.
Or to walk in Paris?
Yeah, it depends on. Okay, so it starts out with sneakers, and then if I have an event to go to at the night, I always have a bag of heels in my bag.
Okay, so people will know they saw you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and very important because we're French.
Yes.
Kiss on one cheek or two?
Oh, two.
Oh, good.
And depending on what region you're in, it's maybe 3 kisses.
Okay, it could be more than
It
2.
could be more, but
Oh, yeah.
it's 2.
My grandma being from the north, it's 3, and then
3.
she insists on that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely 2
We live in the
kisses.
south.
Yes.
It's like, no, I'm from the north.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want troubles.
Can't argue with grandma.
Yeah, I don't want to be beat down by grandma.
No, that would not be good.
Okay, well, and before we call it a go, so Sarah, where can people get in touch with you? Because you have like the podcast, the blog,
Yeah.
where can you
So
find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is a Buckeye in Paris. You can. That's also my blog too. Is a buckeyeinparis.com. But most likely Instagram. That's where I'm.
I found your blog actually first.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And through my Instagram, you can find the sorority network and my podcast.
Oh yes, you have a link tree. Or something.
Yeah. So I have a link tree, and I link to them, and I try to cross post on all of the platforms.
You know what you can.
Yeah. It gets a little confusing sometimes, but I love it.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, Sarah, thank you again for
Thank
coming
you. It's
today.
been a pleasure.
With the little one who's been very nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this is a good sign.
I don't know how you do. Hopefully not with champagne, but
No. She's a little too young for that.
yeah.
She's a little too young for that.
No, but that was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
See you soon.
See you soon.